How are you doing?
Pretty good, how are you?
I'm all right. Not gonna complain.
Yeah. Same here.
Very cool. What's he related? I didn't know. I just watched this weekend. And then when they say, you know, they wonder, new age, so I don't think it's just like on the season. I know much better the first came up to me and the city and she was
We'll get rolling here. All right. All right, welcome. It's 5:02 on Monday, June 3rd, 2024. This is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cape Girardeau. Welcome. Thank you all for being here tonight. We will begin, as always, with an invocation by Pastor Timothy Lee of the Apostolic Promise Church here in Cape Girardeau, and follow that by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you all would please join us in rising. Did he not, Pastor not make it? No. Okay. He's not here. Any?
Got it. Come on.
Yeah. Well, Pastor Scotty Johnson.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
right. Thank you.
Amen. Let us pray.
Please.
Dear God, with all humility, I stand here. Just want to say thank you. Thank you for being so good to all of us. And on tonight, Lord, I just ask that you be in the presence of all that's taking place here on tonight and in our city. Let us not be divided, but let us be on one accord. Give us understanding where we lack understanding. Let us not fight against each other. Let us be blessed and prosper and not live and walk in fear. Let us not be afraid to talk to one another when we're uncertain about the things that are taking place in our city. Let us be an example of how to stand and fight and not walk in fear. Bless every family that's here. Bless all of our first responders and their families. Bless everybody, God. Just keep us safe. And we're so grateful for all that you've done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Okay. We don't have anything for the study session tonight, nor any presentations. Council, any communications or reports?
Hey, I'd like to recognize the Andy and the SEMO baseball team, OVC champions.
Yes.
Made it to the show, if you will, the NCAA regional tournament in Fayetteville, where they went up against Conference USA, Big 12, and SEC. Those are some pretty heavy hitters. It's like David and Goliath when you get into that arena, and they did pretty daggone well. So congratulations to Andy Sawyer and the baseball crew.
Awesome. Yes.
I also want to say Memorial Day, we put up 13 new flags for the Avenue of Flags. I'm sure you all have seen that. Hopefully you've driven through it and looked at the memorial. We're drawing down on 1,000 veterans flags flying up there. Very proud of that memorial that it's taken a village to really get to that state, but we've got 10 more coming up for July 4th. So we're continuing to improve and making a real memorial for our county.
Thanks for your work in that, David.
Thank you, Mayor.
I just have one thing. This is the second year, starting Wednesday. The porch concerts will be going on. The first one is at the Reynolds House. And then there's going to be one at the Glen House, one at the Rhett House, and finishing up at the Kellerman Hall. And there's one a month, and they're excellent. You can't beat the price, $10. So I would just say it was a good first year, and I hope more people come out this year. It's a fantastic program.
All right, thanks. Anyone else?
Yes, I would like to say something. Maybe last weekend, Memorial Day weekend, we had a group that called and they were doing an event at Rainey Park. They had flyers come out and wanted to invite the community. Well, the park has been newly renovated by the city tax dollars and ran by the Parks and Rec. And there was a lot of damage to the park, things removed from the bathroom. Very discouraging. I don't really get to travel much to see my family at all. And I said, well, let me just take the call. Called Dr. Haskin. He called his team. And Doug and his team made sure that park was in order for the community group that live in that area. So the thing I want to say is that we have to take care of our parks and our community. And it's very important that we do that so children can go to the park, families can be there. The city can't continue and replace and paint tables every other day. And so we have to own, if we see things that shouldn't be done, contact the police. If there's something on the ground that you don't mind picking up with gloves, pick it up. And so we have to cherish our park. I appreciate Dr. Haskin and Doug for taking time out of their Saturday and Sunday to make sure that was in order. And the community organization did appreciate that. And they said, this is their park and they're gonna make sure it stay in order. So I just wanna say thank you, but I encourage that we all keep our parks in order, not just City Cape Parks and Rec, but thank you, Doug.
Thanks. Anyone else? No? Okay, thanks. We'll move into items for discussion. First, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to appear as an advisory board applicant? Anyone here? Nope. Okay, none tonight. We'll move into the consent agenda review. Dr. Haskin.
Thank you, Mayor Council. We added number 5 for your review tonight. We're basically asking to execute an agreement with Nip Kelly to start construction on the 2024-2025 CIST street repair projects. We're excited about that. Looking forward to some of these streets getting some work.
Great.
That will conclude the review, Mayor. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. We'll move into regular session and begin with the roll call by Mr. Taylor.
Mark Bliss. Here. David Cantrell.
Here.
Stacy Kinder.
Here?
Rhett Pierce.
Here.
Dan Presson.
Here.
Tameka Randle.
Here.
Nate Thomas is absent.
All right, thank you. Council, we have an agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Ms. Randle?
Second.
Mr. Presson, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, then all in favor of adopting the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the agenda carries. We have one public hearing tonight. I will open the public hearing. On the annual operating budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Is there anyone wishing to appear for that public hearing? This is an agenda item later on in the meeting as well, but anyone? Nope. All right, I will close that public hearing then. And we'll move into the consent agenda. Mr. Young.
Bill 2456, an ordinance vacating the city's interest in a portion of Northwestern Boulevard right-of-way adjacent to 689 Highland Drive in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 2456, an ordinance vacating the city's interest in a portion of Northwestern Boulevard right-of-way adjacent to 689 Highland Drive in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 2457, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute supplemental agreements with Bacon Farmer Workman Engineering and Testing, Inc. for the design of sidewalks along North Cape Park Drive in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 2457, ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute supplemental agreements with Bacon Farmer Workman Engineering and Testing, Inc. for the design of sidewalks along North Cape Park Drive in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 2458, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Nip Kelly Equipment Company, Inc. for 2024-2025 CIST street repair in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
All right, thank you, Mr. Young. Council, we have the consent agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Bliss?
Second.
Ms. Randle, thank you. Any further discussion?
I would just like to say, I'm sorry, any street repair is good repair. So it's excellent to have this in here and to be getting us started on these CISD projects. So thank you to everybody in the staff that makes this happen.
All right, thank you. All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries. We have several new ordinances tonight, and as always, we will have a staff member discuss that, and if anyone in the audience wishes to make a comment or pose a question, you may do so at the podium, and then the council will take it up. So first, we have Bill 2459, an ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024. This is the first reading. Ms. Mills.
Good evening. So this evening's ordinance adopts the operating budget for the next fiscal year, which would be the one beginning July 1, 2024 and ending 6/30/2025. The city charter requires that a public hearing be held, which we're in the process of just opening that up. That hearing was scheduled for this evening, and so we've passed that milestone as a requirement. All the material items in the budget have been previously communicated. It's been out there and available for staff and public and council to see for a couple weeks now. We released it on the city website. There's a couple highlights that I'd like to bring out. It is a $70 million operating budget. The capital expenditures are $32 million, which makes it a total spend of about $102.6 million for this next fiscal year. The budget proposes an increase to the water and solid waste fees of 5%, and the budget reflects the city's continued efforts to attract and retain employees and includes a 3% increase in overall salary and wages. There will be a separate ordinance that we will need to approve the increases in the utility rates, the water and the sewer, and that's on the agenda for this evening as well. The property tax levy will be adopted in August. That happens after the public hearing has been held for that specific thing. Staff recommends the approval of the ordinance to adopt the annual budget. Any desired changes to this budget could specifically be agreed upon now and at this meeting no later than June 17th, 2024, which is our next council meeting, before the final readings of the budget ordinance. Public outreach, the budget is available out there on the city's website. It's also available in the city clerk's office for anybody that wants to see or has any questions.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make a comment or something? Okay. Seeing none, then, council, is there a motion to approve Bill 2459?
So moved.
Mr. Presson? Thank you. Thank you, David. Discussion, council.
I want to say thank you to Lisa and your team for putting this together. If anybody ever is wondering what a $70 million municipal budget looks like, it is a large binder full of documents and it is a year's solid worth of work. And then on June 17th, you start next year's solid worth of work on that next budget. The city of Cape Girardeau, whenever you look through these documents, you will realize that things are very conservatively budgeted in this community. And so I'm always really thankful to our staff and for our teams for making do with what you have and what you can. And it's really a fantastic operation. I've been a part of the city budget for many years now, and it's just always great to take a deep dive into looking at where all the finances are and to see how the city itself is spending money. So any citizen out there that's looking and is interested, please look at this budget, look at previous year's budgets, and just make yourself an informed consumer within the city of Cape.
As a first timer, 331 pages of numbers is a lot for a redneck, but I'm going to tell you what, I got into the weeds, and I want, somebody said something to me earlier on about non-essentials. So I had to ask the city man, what's non-essentials? And that was the park and recs, golf course and stuff like that. And I was really surprised to see they're kind of taking care of their own budget with their revenue. So those who may think that we're spending a lot of money on non-essentials, we're not. And those are very attractable items to families coming in. So without those, I think we'd really be doing ourselves a disservice. So it took 4 hours to go through it, but thank you, Lisa. You're amazing. And Kenny as well. Thank you so much.
Anybody have any thoughts? I was just going to ask Ms. Mills if you could come back to I know the microphone isn't your favorite, but
Sorry.
but we need your wisdom and appreciate all the work you and your department has put into all of this. It's always a miracle every year to see this document. One, I just wanted to highlight, you mentioned the salary increases that we're hoping to again see.
Yes.
Can you just share a little bit about how that, for a couple of years now, we've been able to.
We have been
do
able
that.
to, and it is definitely having an impact on our ability to continue to retrain and to attain and retain people that are interested in working for the city of Cape Girardeau. Our wages need to be competitive, and it helps us when we're able to at least keep pace with part of the inflation, all remembering that there's been a huge effort in the city for the past few years now to address those compensation gaps that we had, and we've successfully done so. Thank goodness to Dr. Haskin and his efforts coming in to get all of that rectified and readdress the pay scales and the things that we needed to do. So this continues that effort. We'll have to continue to add to that. People's bills keep going up every month. And in order for us to stay competitive and able to provide a good wage, that is definitely necessary. The approach when we do the budgets, when we look, is to take care of the personnel cost first. We need to go there. I think that's indicative in the percentage of our funds that are allocated to personnel costs. The general fund has 69% to personnel this year. So we're committed, and the budget reflects that.
Talk to us just for a minute, if you would, about, you mentioned inflation and rising costs. And I assume that's, every year, costs go up, but we're seeing not just in issues related to salary, but also benefits, and then, just the cost of, the city's purchases of materials and equipment and,
Right.
and all of that.
So in order for our staff to do their jobs, they have to have the appropriate materials and supplies. In order for them to do that, each budget includes a level of that. And then you can look at any department in the city and anticipate or think about the types of things they need in order to do those jobs. Those costs have increased exponentially as inflation has increased. When we buy a car or we have to buy a truck, that cost has increased substantially over the past several years. We saw inflation, as we all know, and experienced anywhere from 8% and then some, and some pockets of our costs have gone up even more than a normal inflationary rate. The cost of the city to insure its assets and to insure for liabilities, et cetera, has exponentially increased. It was one of the top spend items in the general fund. We will be looking at ways to mitigate that cost, but there are some things that the city and all of its efforts and all of its employees just can't control. And those things we just have to accommodate in our budget. One thing we need to remember is that the budget is a balanced budget. So we spend what we have coming in. We have to increase the spend in one area. That means we have to decrease the spend in another area. That's how we balance it. So it becomes a bit challenging, but doable. And we did it this year. We were delivering a balanced budget. We are going to have to support certain efforts. One of the efforts we're anticipating in the 25 budget, we're going to incur some increased costs in our health benefits. The health insurance costs were self-funded, and so we've anticipated in this budget that the general fund will have to support that effort by about $500,000. So those things impact us, and they are things that, try as hard as we might, we can't always mitigate.
But those are important commitments to our staff as well.
They are.
So,
Yes. Yes.
Do you remember off the top of your head what the increase in our insurance, like the actual property insurance and liability insurance was?
So in the last 2 years, our property and casualty, just to insure the assets, the increase was like 33%.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big,
Yeah.
that is a big spend.
It's huge. And the whole industry, it's not just the city that is incurring these costs. Everybody individually is incurring it too. I'm sure if anybody's looked at their own personal property insurance, your car insurance, your home, your business insurance, it's all going up. The industry is going through a thing right now. And so those costs are being increased.
Wow.
one last thing I wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about too was you mentioned conservative budgeting, and I think the fleet issues, we're seeing that in this budget where there's,
Yes.
some good planning and projecting. And then, of course, the water treatment facility issues that we've already started. If you could kind of expand on
Correct.
those two things.
So with regard to the fleet, we find as our fleet ages, and when I talk about fleet, I talk about most of the things that roll on wheels in the city. So there's trucks and equipment and just all sorts of things, cars, police cars, the fire apparatus that we use, all of this fleet has to be replaced, and it needs to be replaced on a ratable, reasonable methodology. And so what we need to be doing is reserving some money for those fleet replacements as we move forward. We have done some of that. However, there is a substantial amount of unfunded needs that are going to come forward or come to pass in the next few years. So as we did this budget and we looked through it this year, we identified those needs. In the general fund, there's a little over $16 million of fleet equipment that is currently not funded. It does not all have to be replaced next year, but it will come ratably over the next several, and it's in our best interest to make sure that we plan for that. And so conservative, adequate budgeting means just that. We'll take a look at what those costs are going to be, how we want to go about funding the replacement of that equipment as it wears out, not before needed, but when it's needed. And make sure we're reserved appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, the water system.
Yeah.
Yes. So our 5% increase in our water rates is going to help us cover inflationary costs and operating costs and our personnel expenses and things of that sort that we have associated with operating our water plant. It will not fund the capital needs that we have that's already been presented to council. That may help a little bit, but it certainly is not enough at a 5% increase every year. It didn't keep up with inflation in the past, and historically, the city has not raised those water rates 5% every year, so we've had very minimal cost increases. Our revenue runs, even with the 5% increases that we've implemented this year, will not support the needs of the capital improvement at the level that we need to do them in the water treatment facility.
The full,
The
all
full,
right.
it won't. It will help in some areas. Like we were able this year to do the line density and to do the filter gallery piping projects. That's because we have capital improvement sales tax that is meant for those types of purposes.
Mhm.
And we have adequately planned over the past couple years for these types of projects. So we have enough to do that.
Yep.
But the next run of capital improvements that needs to happen,
Right.
a 5% water rate increase is not going to fund.
Well, I know there'll be a lot more discussion about all of that
Yes.
in the future, but
Yes, but it is
just,
5%
yeah.
and we're going to do that. It will help operationally. It helps to mitigate some of the costs that we have and we'll continue on that path.
well, a lot more discussion of that to come for sure, but appreciate the budgeting and I imagine all of us get a lot of questions about, just when you look at the budget and you see the reserves that sometimes are sprinkled throughout this budget and people ask, well, let's throw all of that into, such and such today. Whatever pressing need, and there are always pressing needs, but
Yeah.
pressing needs are always gonna come, and now,
Can't spend it all today if you want some for tomorrow.
yeah, well, and especially for
And that's what the
things like a
reserves
water
are for.
treatment facility.
Absolutely.
So, appreciate very much that
Mhm.
that approach. Council, anything else? Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you,
Yeah,
Ms.
welcome.
Mills. Appreciate it. All right, then, we have Bill 2459. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. We have a budget. Next, we have Bill 2460, an ordinance establishing utility rates for the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by amending Chapter 29 related to sewer and water rates. This is the first reading. Ms. Mills.
So these are the utility rates that I referenced earlier. This ordinance will establish those rates for this budget. It would approve the water and sewer fee increases as assumed in the proposed budget. Those are already included in our budget for the 24-25 fiscal year. It is a 5% increase to residential and commercial water rates effective for bills issued after July 1st, 2024. It will also increase the disconnect and reconnect fees accordingly. There is a fee schedule in the budget. We can see that. This ordinance will allow the city to do a couple of things. One is to meet the covenants and agreements it has associated with our bonds. We have some outstanding bonds on water and sewer. And it will also support the operating needs of the sewer and water funds, as I've mentioned. Again, it's not enough to support the future capital needs of our large ensuing water plant project. Staff does recommend approval of the ordinance.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on that? All right, okay. Seeing none then. Council, is there a motion to approve Bill 2460? Oh, excuse me. Wait, did I say that right? Yeah. First, yeah. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. First and second. Discussion. Any further
I just think it's important that those listening and those out there, I didn't realize 5% per our charter is as high as we can go. Probably should do 10%, but we're restricted to that 5%, and which Lisa noted is not going to be enough. So we'll have to do something which requires a vote or whatever we decide to do. But there's limitations that are imposed upon us that restrict that. So it's unfortunate because it could be, I know I pay $25 a month for water. That's pretty good. Whatever, if it costs $50 for me to have good water, I'll pay it. I think that's our responsibility to make sure citizens have good water. And JJ, thank you. Your crew was awesome with the big pump that went out, having that pump ready to go, the water main break. So Alliance, thank you so much.
Any other comments? All right, then. All in favor of Bill 2460, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Next, we have Bill 2462, an ordinance amending and adopting new sections of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, related to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is the first reading. Mr. Gannon.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Dr. Haskin. This ordinance amends Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinance as it pertains to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. As a result of the termination of the agreement with the Chamber of Commerce to operate the CVB, this ordinance establishes the CVB within the administration of the city. This ordinance also establishes the development of a Convention and Visitors Bureau Advisory Board that will be operated similar to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, the Tree Advisory Board, and the Golf Course Advisory Board.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to comment on this bill? No, seeing none then. Council, is there a motion to approve Bill 2462?
So move.
Second.
Thanks. Discussion.
I just like to thank Doug and city staff. This new advisory board, I believe the way it's positioned in there, you're going to have representation from all the stakeholders in tourism in Cape Girardeau, and I think that's a very positive step.
Okay, thanks. Doug, I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the structure within the Parks Department of how the CVB will land. Just what I think people are interested in knowing what the new, where it lies within the Parks Department.
Well, we're currently completing the transition now. We've onboarded 3 employees. We will have a Visit Cape manager. We will have an office administrator, and there's a visitor experience development specialist that'll be on board as well. The temporary plan is to put them at the Osage Center in Conference Room 2, which when I first started for the city, I had an opportunity to work in Conference Room 2. So it'll be very conducive to a good work environment for those 3 employees. And then we will build out the space where they will be permanently housed. So the plan now is to put together a team internally of our team and the Visit Cape manager that's going to plan from start to finish. When somebody comes off Kings Highway and enter the Osage Center, how's their movement's going to be to get to the Visit Cape office. That's going to include everything from increased signage, our LED board. We've already got some money allocated in next budget year, thanks to Ms. Mills, to upgrade our LED board, wayfinding signage, redo the entrance to the CVB office. And we have a great area that we've identified to build out for them as well. And we've toured several staff members in that area, and the CVB current staff is really excited about that area as well. So they will operate as a division of Parks and Recreation, similar to our other divisions. I will oversee, working with Trevor, that department or that division. So we anticipate integrating them into everything that we do. We will meet, we have a series of meetings within the department anyway. So we will pull the manager into our Parks and Recreation meetings because we want to know what they're doing and we want them to know what we're doing. And that's kind of where we talked all along about we're not going to duplicate efforts, and we're going to capitalize upon the shared resources that we have and the synergies that we have. And then we as well will attend CVB advisory board meetings, and then we will have a Parks and Rec liaison that'll be on CVB board. We'll have a CVB board liaison that'll be on Park board, and we would like to have a city council liaison as well on the CVB board. So we're ready to hit the ground running. We're extremely excited about this opportunity. I'm excited about the formation of the advisory board, and we're looking forward to having Visit Cape under our umbrella to capitalize upon the interconnectivity and the synergy that currently exists to help them move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor, you've used that word twice, synergy. So, I mean, the relationship is ongoing. It's not something new, you know. It's just basically becoming an official relationship with structure and a board. I think it's important that this isn't just something we dreamed up. This was in place before. It was with the Chamber of Commerce. Now it's coming back. I've had people say, why is the city taking on something else? Sometimes people don't feel like we can do, the fundamentals, but we're really not taking on something else. It's the Park and Recs that are taking this on and working in relationship that you already have.
Yeah, the team currently works with them on a regular basis. So we had 78 baseball teams in town this weekend that were, unfortunately it rained. The rain's really been hard on our team this year, but they were eating in restaurants and they were staying in hotels. And one of the things that we talked about is how do we take that group of people that are coming to Cape Girardeau and how do we further market Cape Girardeau to get them to want to stay for a couple extra days?
Yeah.
So we got some really great ideas and some great energy. So I'm extremely excited. So, and I have mentioned that word synergy and interconnectivity quite a bit because we currently work with them on everything that we do. And sports tourism, we've talked about it a lot, is here to stay, and it's only going to grow. And we are bringing a lot of people to this community that are participating in sports and travel sports. And we've done it. My family's done it as well. So we want to be able to, our team already works on that and does that well. So we really want the CVB team to be able to focus on some other areas that they can bring some people into town, maybe at times whenever we're not necessarily drawing people in town for sports tournaments. So that's where I mentioned some of the duplication of effort. We want to eliminate that because that's just going to make everybody that much better.
As a council member, I'm excited to see the metrics going forward and, to see the numbers, the teams, the amount of hotel stays and all those different things, because those are those types of metrics where you can really sink your teeth into them and see the successes and see the number of people that are coming into our community so that we can gauge how engaged our visitors are and make it as easy as possible for people to come into this town and see what we've got to offer. And so I'm excited just to see that future data set and to understand better about who's visiting and how we can, once again, keep them for another day or two or get them to have another hotel stay or go to another event while they're here.
Doug, what were you saying about some of these ideas that maybe to keep people to stay a couple more days? What are some of those ideas?
Well, we had just, and when we get them onboarded, we will certainly form our boards will be actively involved. We'll have, I envision us having some subcommittees, and we want to engage as many people in the community as we can. That is going to help us grow Cape Girardeau, grow the CVB, and grow tourism. Some people that come to Cape Girardeau for our tournaments, I don't know if they really know what Cape has to offer. They don't know if they know, visit the casino, head downtown. The river, the Mississippi River is the best kept secret in Cape Girardeau. Enjoy the river, enjoy some downtown dining, stay in a nice hotel, stay at the casino hotel. We just want to make sure that everybody that comes to town has a welcome. We want to roll the red carpet out, and if they want to stay for a day or two after that, then we want to encourage them to do that. Because some people blow in town, and this weekend was a great example. The team worked extremely hard working the fields over Saturday. Josh Meyer and his crew had the fields almost ready to go, and then it came another gully washer in the afternoon, and he sent out a text message that said we're rained out. So a lot of those folks that were here, what's that? Some of those folks would have probably, some of those families probably would have said, well, let's pack up and go on home. We plan on staying another night, but there's no reason to because we're not playing baseball tomorrow. But if they do, hey, let's stay in town and let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. They may choose to stay as a family, take in another night at a hotel, and take in some local attractions. I mean, those are the things that we want to make sure they're aware of. Because if I know, if I had planned on coming to Cape Girardeau and it was a family weekend away, and the tournament was rained out, I may opt to just stay. Let's go have a nice dinner downtown Cape and see the Mississippi River, which is something people may have never seen before. So just so many ideas that we've talked about and have been flying around with the two teams working together. The energy is positive, and every time we get together, it's very, very positive and energized. So I'm just extremely excited about some of the things that we're going to experience moving forward.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. All in favor then of Bill 2462, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And then lastly, Bill 2461, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a transportation planning consolidated grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. This is the first reading. Trevor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Dr. Haskin. This ordinance authorizes the execution of a grant agreement on behalf of SIMPO. The City of Cape Girardeau is the administrative body for SIMPO, which allows the City of Cape to receive the funds, therefore is required to execute the Transportation Planning Consolidated Grant Agreement. This is for July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience wishing to comment? Okay, seeing none then. Council, is there a motion to approve Bill 2461?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Any questions about this? Okay, well, hearing none then. All in favor of Bill 2461, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Pulley. All right, we have 2 appointments to make tonight to the Board of Appeals. Council has selected Robert Blasney and Dwayne Sandin for those positions. Is there a motion to approve those 2 gentlemen?
So moved.
Thank you. Second, is there any second? Second, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor then of Blasney and Sandin for those 2 positions, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries. Congratulations to those 2. And thank you for signing up to serve. We have no other business tonight. No one signed up and pre-registered in time to speak tonight. So I think all we have left to do is adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Presson, Mr. Bliss, thank you. Discussion? All in favor of adjourning, please.